Hey, it's episode 3 of the Film Triggers podcast. Back where I come from, we call that a streak. 3 episodes.
Is it a kill streak?
It's a kill streak. That's not where I come from.
Not from Call of Duty?
No.
No.
But still, 3 episodes. It's pretty impressive.
That's all right. We're doing okay.
That's more than 99.4% of podcasts. That is a statistic I just made up.
Made up statistics brought to you by Darren Smith.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to episode 3 of the, what is this called?
Film Triggers.
Of the Film Triggers podcast. We're Telekinesis Entertainment. I'm Alan Seawright.
And I'm Darren Smith. This episode is not brought to you by Apple. Apple makes such amazing things. We use like all of their computers. We each have, I have a
wall of iPhones.
A wall of iPhones. I've owned every single one.
Yep.
We have many computers. We have many iPads.
Apple TVs.
Yeah, we just love everything they make.
They make good stuff.
They make
we
our
use
lives
Final
better.
Cut 10 because, wow, it's awesome.
Yeah. Apple, not sponsors of this podcast.
But really great.
Yep.
Thanks, Apple.
What are we talking about today, Alan?
Today we are talking about set culture.
Ooh, set culture.
Yeah,
Not
etiquette.
Not etiquette. 2 very different things.
That'll be next. That'll be episode 4.
Yeah. Set culture. Etiquette, to just put that off to next week. But generally speaking, etiquette is what to do and what not to do on set. The right and wrong way to act.
Who you can give ideas to.
Yes. What you can and cannot say.
Yeah.
Where you can and cannot sit. Anyway, we'll get to that next time because this will be a 2-part set.
How to live on set without getting fired podcast.
Yes. Part 1, set culture. I want to start this time because as a producer, I have to be thinking about set culture.
Oh, we forgot to say that in the introduction. Darren produces things.
Yeah, I'm a producer and Alan's a director.
I
And you
direct
already know
things.
these things because you've listened to the last 2 episodes.
You're huge fans of us.
Yes. You're our super fans. Thanks for listening.
Agents. They're
Agents of
not super
telekinesis. All right. So as a producer, I need to be thinking about set culture long before day 1 of production.
fans. Before me, even.
Before you even. We work in a special way, whereas you're directing everything that I produce and I'm producing everything you direct. But in other circumstances, that may not be the case. You, as a producer, might be going out finding a project or finding a client that you're producing a spot for, and then you need to go out and find a director that's good for that piece. Luckily, you're good at everything.
I'm so great.
So I trust having you on whatever it is. Not that I really have a say in hiring you anyway.
I'd be really upset.
What would happen if I said, "Hey, I'm gonna bring in a different director for this thing"?
I'd cry. I'd weep softly.
I'd have to have a really good reason for it.
You would.
It would probably be that you're buried in an edit that's more important than directing whatever it is that we're shooting.
Yeah.
Or
That's
I'd
okay.
probably direct it myself.
Or you could direct it yourself.
So, set culture. The things I'm thinking about are, A, who's my client? If it's me, because I found a project and I'm producing it, then who is it that I want to work with on set every day? Who is it that can creatively bring this project to life and make it valuable, whether it's monetarily valuable or monetarily valuable for the client?
Right.
And then, as a producer, you're also
artistically valuable.
Artistically valuable, that's not a thing.
Producer.
The next step is I am also tasked with finding the keys to the kingdom.
To the kingdom.
Of set town.
Well, working with the UPN.
Yeah.
You
So
guys
I'm tasked with finding other key people that are going to be on set working with you as the director. And I need to be thinking about how do you work? Who, what, where, when, why do you work? I went through all of them accidentally. How do you like to work, and can I give you some collaborative associates to work with on set day in, day out, hours and hours a day that you're going to enjoy working with and you're going to be able to work with and successfully make this thing?
Right.
It should be noted that I'm stabbing myself in the leg with a knife
Why are you
letter
playing
opener.
with a letter opener?
Apparently I needed something to fiddle with while
Okay.
I'm talking this time. I'm going to put it down now.
Yeah, because this is getting really emo.
It's distracting.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, first off, who's my director? How do they like to work? And who can I give them? And then the next hire, typically for me, is the director of photography. I want someone who's collaborative. Our set culture, we like to have fun, but we are also extremely hard workers. We like small crews because it kind of works with our innate personalities of we're just hard workers. We like to go all day long. We don't ever really pawn stuff off to someone else. Our first instinct is to do it, to get it done. And I've often seen you as a director walking around and picking up stuff and moving things and, stuff that generally in Hollywood would be frowned upon. Directors don't lift anything. They don't move their chairs. They don't grab sandbags. They don't adjust stuff.
I would like to point out that as a director, I don't think I've ever pissed off the grip or electric department by moving one of their lights or stands without their permission.
Yeah.
Because I follow set etiquette, which we'll get to next time.
And then I'm finding other key people. So I'm finding, typically you're going to be hiring your production staff, so the first AD and second AD. The first AD is going to hire his assistant directors and PAs. But you're going to find someone you like, and I'm going to be finding other key people, so sound department keys and hair and makeup and wardrobe and craft services and all those other people. But I need to know those people well enough to understand their personalities and how they like to work on set, and basically put all these people in a room or on a set or on a stage, and I've crafted this atmosphere that all these people now get to work in. So that's step one for creating a set culture, is finding the right people. Not just because they're the most technically prepared for it, or they're the best because they have all these awards, but is the way they work, will it fit within the culture that we want on set?
Well, and we have specifically hired occasionally, not bad people, but we've hired people who have slightly less technical ability, perhaps, that we know we're going to have a better working experience with. They're still very good at their craft. Like, sure. We don't hire people who just suck. But we've hired people, in positions before where there is someone available who is better, quote unquote, but we're not going to have, they're either not going to work with the rest of our crew as well, or they're whiny, or there's any number of issues where you just want to have, it's a long day on a stressful job where you're moving really fast. Any variables that you can eliminate that could make that worse, you want to eliminate right up front.
That goes into my next point really well, which is, as a producer, the culture that people experience on set before they even start working is crafted by the producer. And I'm talking about a few specific things, namely...
Well, you're talking about conditions, right?
Conditions.
So you create... So the producer's job is to assemble the crew, which determines what kind of atmosphere you're going to have to a large extent, and then create the conditions, which means...
Well, let me back up and give an example of one of the most irksome things that I've ever experienced on a film set, which was arriving on set, there's chaos and commotion everywhere. Nobody really knows what they're doing. I don't know where craft services is. I don't know how long the day is going to be. I've accepted a rate that's probably lower than I should have, but with the assumption that I was going to get more work later on that was going to benefit me.
So this was not you as a producer? This was
not as a producer. This is me as a sound person coming on set, working as a crew member. But on those... Like, on that day, it was a palpable, tangible thing that you could feel that you just weren't valued. And I think...
I have never felt that before. What is that like?
Well, good. You're lucky. So, I've been on sets, and I've heard of sets where people that are normally working for $600 or $750 a day are getting talked down to $150 a day.
Yeah.
Like, in my mind, that's just unacceptable. If you're a producer that's worth anything, you should be able to get a couple $1,000 more out of your client, or a couple tens of thousands or hundreds of $1,000s more out of your investors, so that you can actually make a film without disrespecting your crew before you even start shooting. If you're asking people to work for $150 a day, but you're making a movie that's going to make a couple $100,000, upwards of $1 million, you should be paying people at least like half their rate, if not 75 or 80% of their rate. Like, I get low budget, micro budget filmmaking.
Sometimes you have to, cut your budget here and there, and people understand that. People are willing to work for lower than their quoted rate when they either believe in the project or they believe in you as a producer, or they're just not doing anything and it's better to earn a rate than nothing.
Yeah. There's a big difference in my mind, well, in reality, between that, which is a collaborative, we're all going to make this thing for cheap.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk you down as far as I possibly can, because that way my profits are maximized on the back end.
Exactly.
That's just gross. And that's what I'm talking about. And you can feel that. You can feel when you're disrespected and not valued walking on set. So the couple of things that you can do as a producer that I think about every time we go into producing and into production is, how long are we working? Mm-hmm. Are we making sure that I'm not taking advantage of people and trying to cram 2 days of work into one 15 or 16-hour day to save on a second day?
Or 18 or 20-hour day.
I've never dealt with those, luckily. But
I've done a 21-hour day.
Oh,
I've done a 23-hour day. I've done lots of 18-hour days.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely possible to shoot a movie in 12 or 15 days. But it's not ideal by any stretch, especially if you're paying people $150 a day.
Oh, it's
just gross.
Yeah.
Making sure that your hours are reasonable is one. Scheduling your time. Making sure there's food on set.
Good food.
I've been on set with productions that have unlimited budgets. Like, they have an arbitrary number that they're trying to shoot for that production, just because they need to have a budget.
But it's an important project for the client. I know who you're talking about. It was a very important project for the client, and they weren't going to shortchange it.
Yeah.
They were going to spend what they needed to spend to get it made.
Right. But, I mean, if your craft services consists of a couple of granola bars and 3 pieces of fruit, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You have to be thinking about spending probably $8 to $10 on the low end per person on snack food.
Just snack food.
Like,
that doesn't
healthy,
count lunch. That doesn't count breakfast.
Like, that's what they're living off of in the 6 hours between start and lunch, and the 6 hours between lunch and wrap.
Yep.
So you need to have stuff that's going to sustain them through those hours.
Well, and that's a minimum. I mean, I'm a firm believer in Sandwich 30, so, have a breakfast on set, even if it's just, oatmeal and cereal. People appreciate that.
Yeah.
If you have a full breakfast with eggs and bacon and breakfast burritos, that's great. But have some kind of breakfast. Have 3 hours in, somebody brings around sandwiches. Yeah. They don't have to be the best sandwiches in the world. They don't have to be, they're not huge. People aren't going to eat you out of house and home. But if you get like a half a sandwich, man, that is, as a crew member, I mean, you get the calories that you need. Like, you're up after that.
Yeah, but more important, I think you just feel valued.
You feel valued, yeah.
You feel like these people actually took the time to schedule someone to make us sandwiches and bring them to us, because they know that we're working hard and we don't have time to... There's times on set where I literally don't have time to walk over to craft services and get snack food.
Oh, yeah.
So if...
Well, and some of the departments, camera department never has time to do anything.
No,
they do not, because if they're not shooting the camera, they're moving it somewhere. And once they move it somewhere, it's not like they're sitting around while they wait for lights. They're marking actors. They're getting focused. I mean, they are literally sprinting from the time, like from before the director shows up until after people leave. They are running the whole time. They do not get downtime.
Yeah.
There's some other departments where you work really hard and then you get little breaks.
Yeah.
But, camera department, nope. Production department, not really. Sound department, sometimes.
Depends on what the shoot is, but... So those are the big things I look for.
Yeah.
But all of those are essential to have before you even step on set, in order to have the kind of set culture that you want as a director.
Right. Yeah, so that brings it to set culture. So once the producer has done a good job of assembling the right crew and making sure that people feel appreciated, hopefully, and we're talking in terms so far of, pretty big sets that have, full departments and everything, but all of these rules apply the exact same if you have a crew of 3.
Mm-hmm.
You still need food, you still need people to be paid right, and you still need the right crew to get there.
Yeah.
And you don't want to work them to death either. You don't want to, if you got a crew of 3, they're already killing themselves. You don't want that to be a 15-hour day.
Right.
If anything, you want to make that an 8-hour day, not a 12, if possible. But once you get on set, the culture is really sort of the day-to-day interactions, how things are going to go, how smooth things feel. That's what I'm talking about with culture. Well, okay, let me back up. I'm going to talk about the atmosphere, because as a director, the atmosphere and the culture on set, which is how you feel about your work, how rushed everything is, how stressful everything is, if you get behind, do people start screaming? All of that stuff comes from 3 people, and those 3 take their lead from one of those 3 people, and that's the director of photography, and the first AD. Mm-hmm. If all 3 of those people can get behind on a day and be calm and cool and collected and just, put their heads together and think about, okay, what are the shots that we need to get? How can we get them? How can we make sure that people understand that we're under a crunch and we need to move quickly? If they can do that without resorting to screaming and yelling and stressing people out and gripping, I've been on sets before where everyone was speaking in a calm voice, but there was tension, mm-hmm. and it still felt tense, and it was kind of unpleasant. I mean, it wasn't nearly as bad as getting screamed and cursed at a lot.
Yeah.
But it was still more tense than it could have been. And I've been on a few sets where, as a crew member, where, things went wrong for one reason or another. Camera went down, or, lights broke or whatever. And so we got behind, and we would get 2-3 hours behind, and everyone was calm. Everyone was collected and cool. It was just, okay, these are the things that we need to do. They would communicate to the crew. We still have 18 setups to get. We still have all of this stuff to do. So let's just knuckle down and do it. Mm-hmm. And everybody was cool, and it was just, there was brisk, but it wasn't tense. There was no yelling. There was none of this. And it was very pleasant. It was a nice place to work.
Yeah. As soon as something breaks on set, whether it's a process or like an actual piece of gear, it's already happened. So there's nothing you can do about it. And yelling and screaming and doing all that stuff literally does nothing but hurt you.
Thinking about the day when nothing is going to break is a fantasy.
Yeah, there's always going to be something you're going to have to deal with.
You are never going to... I've put in a couple hundred, probably about 350 days on set over the last 7 or 8 years. And I think out of all of that, I've had maybe 2 days where nothing went wrong. We just powered through our pages and got everything we needed with no issues.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's the nature
very,
of the
very
beast.
rare. And when it does happen, by the way, those 2 days were like magic. Like the whole team, everybody just like had that team feeling of like, we just won the Super Bowl. And like, you get done with your day early because, of course, everybody was on point and everything was getting done quickly. And then, one of those days we added additional pages and we got those done, and we were at our 12-hour day, and everybody wanted to stick around because we were just firing on all cylinders. It was like, what else can we shoot? We want to make more movies. No one wanted to leave. It was weird.
Crazy.
Except for the grips. The grips always wanted
We're going to talk about that in set etiquette.
in set etiquette. But that being said, so those are sort of general atmosphere things. We're going to talk more specifically now about our productions and what we like to do here at Telekinesis. I like to have a lot of fun on set. As a director, I like to joke around and have a good time. And I really like to... We have a couple of DPs that we like to work with. I have one who's my favorite, and I love him. I have a couple of ADs that I like to work with, and we have a lot of crew people that we like, and they understand that when they come on set, we're going to make our day, we're going to get our pages, and we're going to do them quickly. But the people that we've worked with enough understand how we work, and they've been in our environment enough that they know the right amount of like how much joking is okay before we got to move.
Mm-hmm.
How much, when is it okay to laugh? When are we going to be a little bit more serious? When are we going to, when to ignore me crying behind the monitor, because that'll happen. It's going to happen.
Just once so far.
Yeah, but it's going to happen.
The thing about small crews that I love is that it eliminates waste. I've been on sets where it's just like 15 grips and 14 electricians and too many PAs, and it just feels...
And 12 trucks and all this stuff.
It just feels wasteful. I mean, I know that there are productions that require that much.
Oh, absolutely.
And there are times where you literally need 10 PAs on set for one shot.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't really bring people in on... Other than actors, you can have actors come in for a couple hours and leave because they're wrapped and they're done. Like, if they're done, you don't need to sit around the rest of the day. But you usually don't wrap PAs or have them show up late. Typically they're there all day. It just seems so wasteful sometimes. But we like small crews because it's fun. You got a tight-knit group of people, and you're having fun while you're working, and you're not just sitting there talking and then, I have to go do something, and you feel like you're getting drug out of a conversation that you're having.
And it allows you to be more nimble. It lets you move quicker. You also get a more of a feeling of camaraderie, because if you have a small crew, everybody has to do a little bit of everything sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you still want to have, obviously, your defined roles, and you don't want to force everybody to pick up stands and equipment and move if you're turning around. But if people are willing to do that, that's the kind of atmosphere that we try to create, where people get their work done, and if they have a couple seconds, they can help move something, or they can help. We've been working on stuff before where literally a grip will go off and run lines with an actor, because the actor needed to work their lines before they were out of that shot, and they needed to work for the next shot. The grip didn't have anything to do, so we went and ran lines with them. It was really cool to see that just spontaneously happen.
Yeah.
So let me think. Is there anything else culture-wise that we need to really address?
I think that hits the main points. I think the biggest point is that set culture exists, whether you're thinking about it or not.
And if you're not thinking about it, it's not going to be a culture that you like, probably.
Yeah, and you're going to have a tough time getting people to come back and work for you another time.
Yeah.
If you've got a crappy set culture and you're not valuing your people and treating them like you value them, it's going to be really hard to get those people to come back for the next one.
Well, and one thing, Darren mentioned earlier that he really likes to make sure that people are paid fairly. And obviously we don't want to pay people less than they're worth. But a lot of times budgets necessitate that we pay people a little bit less. But when people feel respected and that their ideas matter. That's another thing I need to address. I'm a very collaborative director. Mm-hmm. I've worked with a couple of people who aren't, but the auteur theory of, the director is the author of the film that's BS.
Yeah, I don't buy into that at all.
There's maybe a couple of directors who work that way and are actually successful, and I mean literally maybe two on planet Earth. Like, there just aren't. It just doesn't happen. It's a team sport. It's a collaborative effort. But that being said, we'll address in our Setiquette podcast a lot more when you can talk, who you can talk to with ideas and everything. But I, as a director, not only value but require ideas and input from the crew. They need to step up and not only do their jobs, but help me do mine. Because as a director, I'm supposed to oversee every aspect of the show, and I don't have that many eyes. I can't be adjusting every light and checking every single, glint, sound, line reading, all of that stuff. Obviously, I pay more attention to the actors than anything else, but I still miss stuff there. And, I have stuff pointed out to me by our script supervisor all the time that helps me adjust those things. We usually have the writer on set to make sure that lines are accurate as well. Yep. But so that's part of the atmosphere as well, is being open and welcoming to ideas and my brain just ended.
No, it's part of the atmosphere. It's part of the atmosphere of what makes working with a company with a director.
That's what I was
fun.
getting to. Okay, sorry. Thanks for reminding me. So, I'm here. Don't worry. I need more Dr. Pepper. They were the sponsor last week. Yeah, so the idea is if people feel respected and they feel like their ideas have worth and we're actually going to listen to them, even if we don't use all of their ideas, if they feel okay sharing their ideas, people are willing and excited to work with you, even if they're getting less than their regular rate, if they feel respected and valued.
Yeah. I'm going to hit that point one more time, though, because I kind of pride ourselves on the fact that we've never paid anybody $150 a day.
Oh, no. We pay well.
We always try to meet their rate, and I'm always asking them what their rate is for whatever production. I don't expect to pay full high-end production day rates for a little commercial for a local company, because that's just unrealistic for them to ask for those rates. But even getting down to specific numbers, and we don't want to belabor the subject, but people should be making a couple $100 a day if they're a key, whether it's a grip or the gaffer or the DP or the sound
500
person.
plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we always have delivered that. We've always been paying people at least like 80% what they're worth. And I think it's important, and I think that's why we've got really loyal people that enjoy working with us, that will drop what other things that they have going on in order to work with us. And I think we attribute a lot of that to the fact that we've established and really spent time thinking about our set culture. So do that.
Yes. Think about, and that extends down to, if you're a film student and you're just barely getting started and everything's no budget, or you're a more seasoned professional, but if you can't afford to pay people, think about set culture in the way that you're treating people.
Yeah.
Make sure that if you can't afford to pay people, you better damn well have food for them.
Yeah.
And it better be
give
good
value
food.
a different way.
Give them credits, give them shout outs on social media, do everything you can to promote the heck out of them. And then as soon as you can afford to pay people, pay them as much as you can, up to and including their rate.
Yep.
And treat them well, respect their ideas. Back rubs go a long way.
They do.
As long as everybody's comfortable with that, you get a little back rub train going. That's good.
It's a huge waste of time.
It is, but you feel great afterwards.
That's fair.
You get an hour lunch, you might as well use some of it.
All right, you want to do the wrap up?
I do want to do the wrap up. Thank you for listening to the... Why can I not remember this? Thank you for listening to the Film Triggers podcast.
It's early. It's only the third episode.
It's only the third episode, and I'm tired, and I didn't have my Dr. Pepper because we were not sponsored by Apple today. Film Triggers podcast. You can find us all over the internet. We're everywhere. We have a Facebook page, Telekinesis Entertainment. Best places to find us are on Twitter @TelekinesisENT, our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/telekinesisstudios. This is posted on our Backlot channel, Telekinesis, youtube.com/backlot.
/telekinesis backlot.
/telekinesis backlot. Yeah, regular backlot would not do anything that I know of. youtube.com/telekinesis backlot. We are www.telekinesisentertainment.com. Most importantly, this is a podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Give us 5 stars if you think we're worth 5 stars, or if you're feeling generous.
Yeah. Leave comments. Let us know what you want to hear about next.
Any questions, comments, insights? We want to know all of that. We have a bunch of other stuff planned. We have a list of about 15 different topics that we want to hit.
Yeah. And we will hit them one at a time.
In the face.
Gently.
Gently? We're going to hit...
Yeah.
I don't understand this metaphor
anymore. It's
anymore.
going to be challenging, but we can do it.
Yes.
I have faith in us.
Punch them like butterflies. That's Darren.
I'm Darren.
@Darren T. Smith on Twitter. I'm Alan. @AlanCwright on Twitter.
And together we're @TelekinesisENT on Twitter.
Yeah.
and Instagram, Telekinesis Entertainment. I don't know. We're everywhere, like you said.
We're all over
Find
the
us,
place.
connect with us, become an agent.
Become an agent of telekinesis.
Yeah.
World domination is within our grasp. That's it.
Thanks.